for joining us on another edition of the program Focus on AFCON on My Media Prime Television. My name is Macdela Bisang, and on today's edition of the program, we are going to have a recap of the games that were played yesterday. We are also going to look at the games that will be played tomorrow. And of course, we are going to talk about how the heavyweights are sinking, and of course, they are being beaten by the persons we think, or the nations we think were underdogs. Of course, no nation has come into this 2021 AFCON to joke, because as we speak, some countries have already gone home. Ghana, one of the latest countries to have gone home after they were defeated by Comoros yesterday. All this and more will be yours on today's edition of the program. Before we get to introduce you our panelists on board, we are going to take a commercial break. We are going to have our official sponsors of the 2021 Total Energies African Cup of Nations. We are talking about Orange, UCB, and KGB. Take a look.
Football is in our DNA. Enjoy each game with a cold, fresh Kaji beer. Kaji beer, the official beer of the AFCON Total Energies Cameroon 2021. Drink responsibly. 21 plus.
Le football est un sport qui se joue avec un ballon d'une circonférence de 70 cm. Des chaussures à crampons, deux équipes de 11 joueurs, sur un terrain recouvert de gazon. Bref, le foot, c'est un sport qui se joue avec un ballon.
Il n'y a pas qu'un football. Il n'y a pas qu'une façon de se rapprocher. Orange.
With Orange Cameroon, proud sponsor of the Untitled Alliance.
Orange.
Welcome back. With me in the studio are three fine gentlemen who are here to talk sports. Mr. Billybob, Ndive, Lifongo. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening, Macdela.
Thank you for joining us on today's edition of the program. This is definitely not your first time. The viewers, the televiewers are not seeing you for the first time. What do you have for them today?
AFCON is on. We have a lot to dissect here, and I think it's going to be a rich program.
Okay, Mr. Enow Ako, he's no new face. Of course, you all know him, so probably you just hear from the horse's mouth to say good evening to you all watching us now.
Good evening to you, Macdela. Good evening to Billybob. Good evening to Javis. Good evening to televiewers and as well Africa.
He did not greet the people of Osing today. Oh, I'm sure you're he did not greet them. Probably if he had greeted them, you would have come back for another.
Billybob would have asked, requested that he gets
Of course, Javis. Good evening, welcome.
Good evening to you. Good evening to the people of Africa. Good evening to the sport lovers, and also good evening to those who are not supporting the Indomitable Lions. To tell them that whether you support them or not, we are going to win the trophy.
Exactly. Like I told you, televiewers, before the start of the introduction of the panelists, I had told you that we had so much in store for you today. We are going to talk about how the heavyweights have been sinking in this edition of the African Cup of Nations, and of course they have been beaten by the teams we thought were underdogs in this competition. Just like I mentioned, no team has come to this competition to joke. We are going to talk about Algeria, who are defending champions. We are going to talk about the last group stage games, which are going to come up tomorrow, and of course the knockout stages, which are to start on Sunday. And probably the Indomitable Lions of Cameroon will play their own games, their own knockout stage games on Monday. Right away, we talk about we are going to talk about Morocco and Morocco and Gabon. They played yesterday, and at the center of it all was Salima, a Rwandan female referee. But we are not going to talk about her now, because we spoke about her yesterday. As our focus of center of discussion now will be about the Gabon-Morocco game. It was a very, very interesting encounter. I beg your pardon, Salima was not the referee of that game. It was a game at 5 p.m. The one at 8 p.m., I beg your pardon, was officiated by a male referee. That was a game at Yaoundé between Gabon and Morocco. It was a very interesting encounter to watch because Morocco were held to a 2-2 draw. Morocco is a heavyweight.
Yes, Macdela, there's one beauty in the Gabonese side, that is no player is indispensable. Remember that Pierre Aubameyang, as well as Lamina, both of them returned to their clubs, and yet they could still get a 2-2 draw with the Moroccans, for which Morocco is the favorite in the pool. So that's what I really appreciated in the game yesterday. There are so many reasons why Aubameyang left for his club. We have been hearing of issues of indiscipline. However, when they came in, he contracted COVID. Later on, we heard of some issues related to discipline, and he was finally sent back on health issues. The official communique from the Gabonese Federation tells us that he was sent back on health issues. However, but the Gabonese still are a force to reckon with, because based on the game they played yesterday, that tells us that we need to be very, very careful. They have built their team not on an individual. It's a team, and that's what I really do appreciate. We don't have a team like Senegal. Senegal has been so tight because they depend a lot on Sadio Mane. Every strategy is focused on Sadio Mane. When we watched the game that Egypt played, Egypt struggled to get a 1-goal victory because they strongly rely on Mo Salah. When Salah is not effective, it's as though the entire team is not moving. But the way the Gabonese side operates is that nobody is indispensable. You have players who are not even known. So we have a list of average players who are committed in defending the colors of their nation. That's what I appreciate a lot. And this is going to serve as an example to other nations, as well as even Pierre Aubameyang himself, that we need a team. We need everyone to be committed. There is a common purpose, which is winning the trophy and defending. If you don't win the trophy, but you can also go out in an honorable role. I think that what they portrayed yesterday, and they grabbing that qualification yesterday, was something I really, really did appreciate. And I think that we have to learn from the Gabonese, even though at the level of the 8 finals, it's not going to be a trial by error basis anymore. It's going to be based on effectiveness. So I think that the Moroccans themselves, they had actually overrated themselves. Just like Cameroon pulling a 1-1 tie with Cape Verde, I think that the game with the Gabonese side yesterday is a call for concern, and I think that the coach will definitely go back to his drawing board.
And Gabon played that game yesterday without about 7 of their players because they had COVID-19.
Gabon side is one of the sides that have been highly hit by COVID as far as this tournament is concerned. As soon as they got in, they already had COVID cases. When they got in, Aubameyang got affected, contracted COVID, and other 7 players also contracted COVID. But that said, they did not relent their efforts. They kept pushing on. And I think that's the beauty about their side. I think that going forward is a squad that we are going to be looking after. But we shouldn't take anything away from the Moroccans, because there are days, for you to go further in the competition, you need days like that. Days like what happened to Cameroon against Cape Verde and what has happened to the Moroccans, those teams will go back to their drawing board, and don't be shocked to see them in the finals, or at least in the semi-finals, because there will be no complacency. They now understand that they are in a tournament for which every second counts. Your pass in football, there's a statement that you are as good as your last performance. It therefore means the last performance of the Lions is a draw with Cape Verde, and it's on that basis where you start doing your analysis going forward. You will not be thinking of the game against Ethiopia. We will not be thinking about the game against Burkina Faso. The last game, you had a draw. What went wrong? You start correcting the wrongs. So at some games of that nature, help some teams to go forward.
All right, we are going to leave that game aside. Let's talk about the other game it's a shocker game, a game that shocked, everybody. We're talking about Comoros and Ghana. They sent Ghana packing and Ghana went home empty. This is the Ghana, we are talking about Ghana who has always crossed the group stage, but of course this time they were let down by a no-nonsense Comoros side who are just newcomers into the competition.
Well, Macdela, football is not an exact science. Though it's a game of chance also, but people need to work so hard because when we watch the Ghanaians playing, it's a country that's so darling to my heart. I was so disappointed yesterday, even though I knew it might happen, because looking at their first two performances, it was certain, because the first day of play, they were beaten by the Moroccans. And then on the second day that they played Gabon, they were leading from a goal scored at, I think, at the 16th minute from the DIU. That is, they were leading up to almost the 90th minute, if not mistaken, and Gabon equalized. And there they thought they would have had an easy walk, but it never happened that way. The Gabonese side, they did so well on that match and the previous matches that they have played, and everything went well for them. We look at the team like the Comoros that had nothing to offer again because they had lost 2 matches. They were playing for the gallery. Even though at this juncture they can still come out as best loser because they had 3 points. They can still come out as best losers because they have 3 points at this juncture. We know with this 24 teams tournament, there's a lot of calculation on gymnastics that you have to calculate. It's only at the end of the day that's why you see even after this nobody is still setting. The only pairing that is setting is that Burkina Faso is going to play Gabon. That's the first sure pairing on each finals, Burkina Faso Gabon. But you look at we spoke about the game of Comoros Ghana. The Ghanaians thought it was going to be an easy ride.
Of course, Comoros are just newcomers, so definitely they knew it was.
Their matches have been very horrible if you watch them play. Wrong passes, no determination, and it seems as if at one point in time they were just galvanized with the fact that they have attained at last. They are playing an AFCON until their president was even here. The only president, Azali Osmanu, who came here. Was invited. He came here. He graced the opening ceremony and stuff like that. But then, I think they gave a very tough football game history for the Ghanaians until the day you had to pick a red card. I think at the 22nd minute of play, it was so embarrassing because that is somebody who has, like, if you follow him even on social media, he knew he was coming to Cameroon to grab the trophy, especially with what, his father failed in doing that in 1992 when he lost the finals against Cote d'Ivoire in a tournament that, that was hosted, it was in Senegal. It was in Senegal. They put a penalty shootout when Anthony Bafoué lost the last penalty, something like that. And then the father did not even play the final because he had a red card also at the semi-finals. Even though he was best player of the tournament, but he did not play the final because he had a yellow card, red card at the semi-finals. So the day you thought he was going to finish what his father left, but unfortunately he left the tournament also. They will say in French, la petite porte, because he was not so flamboyant during the tournament. Maybe it's where he plays football because he's no longer playing in Central Europe like his younger brother Jordan. I saw it in him. He had the determination. That is why you saw him, that rough tackle that he gave to the goalkeeper today, until the goalkeeper was changed and the reserve goalkeeper came in to tell you how grave the injury was for the goalkeeper. But then the Ghanaians only woke up around the 60th minute of play. If you watch the match, they woke up at the 60 minutes. It was already late, and then they were inferior in terms of numbers. Before they had to do some changes and stuff like that, it was really late. They struggled with 10 man and equalized the 2 goals because they were down by 2. But then when you're playing against a team that has nothing to lose, like the Comoros, they were running up and down. They were just running everywhere, and then you see the last throw was that 10th goal that came in, that they were so confused. They had players like the Thomas Partey who were so powerless. I could not recognize the Thomas Partey I used to see with Atletico Madrid. I could not recognize the Thomas Partey I see every day with Arsenal. I don't know what is happening. I think the Serbian coach has a lot of answers to give to the Ghanaian FA.
All right. Goals from Ben El Fadou and a brace from Ahmed Mogni gave newcomers Comoros their goals, gave them a lead over Ghana, and of course 3 goals. They sent Ghana yesterday home. It was a very disappointing moment and a very disappointing match to watch, to see that Ghana, a whole Ghana go home, and they were not just sent packing by any big team. They were sent packing by Comoros. We don't know Comoros. They are just newcomers. Javis, what do you think about yesterday's game? Was if you watched the game, who were the better side, and was the Comoros game, was the goals, did it come, was it well deserved, given that they actually took a 3-2 lead over Ghana?
You know that in football, the goals are well deserved. That's why it is a goal. That's why it is valid.
No. The Cameroon always tell us a penalty is not a goal. When Cameroon scored the first goal during the first game.
The issue with Comoros and Ghana, as Billy said, is that there is an African proverb that when somebody is already on the ground, is not afraid to fall again.
That's true.
And so they were not coming to play for qualification towards the last game. They knew that they were already out.
If they lose, they lose.
So there was no tension on their part to say that, hey, let's take a draw to qualify. Now they were coming over for command. And remember that there's a danger here when you are playing a squad that has no star player. I know Veron is a player, and he will best tell you that in football, players that you don't know them, who are local, who have been picked from the local leagues, and when they meet a professional side, it's difficult for that professional side to play, because these players just come to make you not to touch the ball. The coach gives them only one order: that man should not play. If that man goes in front, go and play their attack. If he goes behind, go and play their defense. And that was what the Comoros did yesterday. I was a bit disappointed with the Ghanaian team, especially as Ayu had the red card. My view, as far as that match is concerned, is that as a ski player like Ayu, you have to be very careful not to get yourself a red card or yellow card to miss even the next match, because you are the one that the team is depending on. The team actually depends on you, and so you should be able to ensure that you minimize fault as possible. But unfortunately, that was not the case, because if you look at the rough tackle, it was serious. And another issue there is that the Ghanaian came with a superiority complex, like we are the Black Star of Ghana, and we have the name and all those kind of things like that. But the Comoros came with, we are meeting a big team. It's like David. I defined the match. I saw the match as a battle between David and Goliath, because David thought he was too small. Goliath thought he had the mightiest armor and the rest. But unfortunately, the Comoros side put up a game which was not too good to win. But as we always say, a goal is a goal. The problem we have with the Ghanaian team is the collaboration among their defense and their attack line. And if you look at their defense compartment very well, especially when the first 2 goals came in, it's like the errors Cameroon had towards during the last game, because the defense was not, there was not effective communication between the defenders. And also when you look at the way in which they played the match, the level of assist passes, it only came towards the 60th minute where you have a collaborative match with Ghanaians, when they actually went back to the Black Star of Ghana, and that's why you see they played well. But overall, I will tell you that Comoros There's no small team in football. When they look at the squad, if they say, let us have 22 players or 23 players, it means that these people can play with the best players in the world. They too are the best. So in football, I don't believe in star players. I believe that if a coach calls 23 players and you are the reserve bench, doesn't mean that you cannot play as the first 11. It's just that everybody cannot play at the same time. Because you bear with me that there are players whom we consider little known players. When they get to the field, just the motivation they get, the clap they get, you see a kind of high energy comes into play. Like you see with Gabon. The case with Gabon has proven it to be what we see today. Football, I always say, it is like amoeba. It has no shape, form. It takes a form and shape any moment in time. So for us to understand the gymnastics of football, we must just put it that any player you see on the field has the same capacity like the player you thought he or she was. In local level, I use a parable that if you take the first 11 players of Douala, you go around Douala, you pick top 11 players, and you put with a team, a strong team. Don't be surprised that team can.
Yeah, so many
don't be surprised.
Even Cotton Sport can beat
Ghana
like 3-0.
From what Javis is saying, it's true. We talk about local players, because if you look at the Comorian team, they don't have, most of their professionals are playing third tier football, second tier, fourth tiers even, and you realize that I discovered that this AFCON is not treating some teams well.
That is not fair.
This AFCON is not treating some teams very well, because like
funny.
you said, it's funny, the big names, the power weight, because
Algeria,
to see
Morocco,
to see
Ghana,
a Comoros team, their first time ever to venture into this. That is why you see them yesterday. They were so happy, first of all, to score. Having to score, because their first goal.
And to think that they came out victorious.
To come out, not beating anybody, 4 times African champions.
It's like Zimbabwe celebrated, even though they are going home.
Yeah, the Black Stars of Ghana. You realize that it was, I think yesterday was, I don't know if their president would declare a public holiday, because Azali Osmani, the president of the Comorian Islands, because it's an island, it's an island that's made of about 3 big islands.
5 big islands.
The main 3 is, I think, Grand Comoras, there is Anjouan, there is Moroni, the capital, and I think Mawali. There are other small islands, even though they are still reclaiming this French island that is part of theirs. You realize that it was a feast yesterday in Moroni. It was like they won the World Cup yesterday in Moroni. That's their capital. Even in Anjouan, their second largest city, it was like they have won the AFCON already. They celebrated. I followed some local. Yeah, it's wonderful. You know, it's their first time of coming. Then they are, because like I said, up till now they have not yet been eliminated. Be careful, because we have to go for the 4 best losers. Even though I don't know, they have 3 points.
No, their chances are very slim.
No,
because you have those guys with 4 points.
I'm coming.
Okay.
They are like you said, it's very slim.
Yeah.
But
it's not like it's impossible.
Their chance is only going to come.
That's the fact that you say their chances are slim.
It means they see.
It's like you go to the hospital, the doctor tells you your chance of survival is just 20%.
You may die anytime soon.
You know your family will start going to look for how they can borrow money to pay for a casket, for stuff like that. Yeah. But then the doctor, at the end of the day, 3 days later, they tell you that, doctor, it's like a miracle. This your patient, he's fine now. His chances of living now is even 60%. You start believing in faith, because that is it. If it happens, if it happens that the other teams like this is we have games of today and tomorrow. Too many things are going to happen. Because like I said, in this tournament, in this situation where we have 24 teams that they are going to bring out 4 best losers. I know there are already 2 teams with 4 points, if I'm not mistaken. 3 already?
Yeah.
3 with 4 points. Now, if unfortunately or fortunately things turn, they think that the flowers turn black tomorrow. If flowers turn black tomorrow, don't be surprised that Comoros comes back. That's why they have not yet gone back. They have packed their bags halfway. No, like we say, their chances are very slim. Because life is all in football. We believe in everything, because the Comorians believed in themselves that it could happen, and it happened. Because I'll go back a little with what the first question to Mr. Enow. The match Gabon-Morocco. To me, I don't know about you guys, but that's the best match I watched. It was this AFCON. It was a top-notch match. It was hard. The football that was played yesterday.
A lot of drama.
And people don't know, when we say Gabon and Morocco, I'll give you something that people don't know. Gabon has always given Morocco a run for their money. In 8 confrontations, I think the Moroccans have won just once. I think yesterday was the 9th confrontation. People don't know that. You check it, you see it.
And the Morocco.
Are we talking about the same Morocco who everybody thinks that?
No, it's head to head. It's head to head. Head to head. Gabon, the Gabonese have always given the Morocco, like what people always say that before the match between Cameroon and Egypt. Cabo Verde. Yes, just Cabo Verde. They were saying that this Cabo Verde always disturb Cameroon, you know, and that is how it happened. Then we destroyed today. It just came to say, okay, we don't talk this thing.
And it happened.
So that's the yellow jersey. That's the yellow jersey. The syndrome. That's a myth. It's a mythology to me. That myth about the mythology. But they've forgotten that in 1984 we won a tournament with the yellow jersey. People don't know about that. So it's kind of these things do happen. But then it was a tough match that we watched yesterday. To me, it's the best football encounter, because nobody at one point in time I thought the Moroccans have given up, but they came back to draw. To draw 2-2. It was a fabulous football game that we watched yesterday, and I think it's good for the game. It's good for AFCON, and it makes just the AFCON 2021 in Cameroon so flamboyant.
All right, let's now take you to Bafoussam. Games were not just played only in Yaoundé yesterday. Games were played in Bafoussam. We had Senegal go against Malawi, and Senegal were held to a 0-0 draw by Malawi. Before we get to talk to our panelists here on board, we are going to talk to our, first of all, let you listen to our correspondent Florence Kamga, who was out there in Bafoussam, and she had this for us.
C'est un plaisir pour moi d'assister à ce match, surtout que j'aime beaucoup l'équipe du Sénégal et je gagne. Je viens juste de chance, donc je suis arrivé en retard. Donc le Sénégal doit gagner aujourd'hui par une large victoire.
Malawi, Sénégal, je compte que le Malawi vont gagner 1-0.
Si le Malawi peut gagner, ça va aussi me plaire. C'est un club qu'on n'a pas encore bien compris sur le continent.
On désire que le Sénégal passe parce que ça va plus animer la compétition. Déjà avec Sadio Mané rentré au premier tour, c'est une honte déjà pour lui. Pour qu'il valorise son pays.
D'accord. Sénégal-Malawi, sauf que l'embouteillage, nous sommes arrivés vraiment en retard. Oui, mais au niveau des scores, oui. Mais on sait que le Sénégal va gagner. Autour de 1.
Non, Sénégal 2. Malawi 1. Sénégal, même 4-0, bismillah.
Je suis venu avec la famille pour supporter le match des Camerounais, donc le match de tous ceux qui sont venus jouer ici au Cameroun. Et en particulier, je supporte le Sénégal. Et bon, le Sénégal 2-0. Le Sénégal va gagner par 2-0.
Non, nous sommes là ce soir pour supporter le Sénégal. On souhaite que le Sénégal remporte ce match qui va se passer tout de suite, ainsi de se dérouler parce qu'on est un peu arrivé en retard.
Thank you, Flo, for showing us how the atmosphere looks like. The atmosphere looked like out there yesterday in Bafoussam. Mr. Enow Ako, the game yesterday in Bafoussam was almost similar to the games that were played, because Senegal as well is a heavyweight. We say heavyweight because most of these, they are well-known teams or countries when it comes to the issue of the AFCON competition. Yesterday, Senegal were held to a 0-0 draw by Malawi. And it was even thanks to their goalkeeper, Edward Mendy, who, I don't know, if you watch that match yesterday, Edward made, I think, about 2 mistakes. But people were so quick to have criticized Andre Onana for something. I don't know how to put it, whether a mistake he did or a mistake he did not do. But if they watch Edward Mendy, who has just been voted FIFA Men's World Best Goalkeeper, Edward Mendy actually made 2 mistakes yesterday, and but the positive side, it stands to him that Senegal did not concede any goal yesterday. Is it fair to say that this AFCON is one of the best, I mean, one of the most interesting. I mean, when I say best, I mean in terms of the surprises that surrounds the competition since the start of the competition.
Yes, when we talk about Senegal, we're talking about a powerhouse in Africa. You know, when we talk about Senegal, I always have the feeling in the years 2000, 2002, where we had people like El Hadj Diouf, we had people like Ferdinand Coly, Omar Daf, Tony Silva at the goalpost. We had people like Ndive, Lamine Ndiaye. We had people like Kalilu Fadiga, who had a beautiful contract for Inter Milan, who left Auxerre for Inter Milan and had a cardiac issue. That was the Senegal we all knew. Unfortunately, at the time when Senegal was at their peak, they had to meet with the Lions, and we had to carry the. I'm sure that was when we obtained the fourth star on our jersey. Yeah. So Senegal in the early 90s, they played the finals against. In the early 90s, they had beautiful games with people like Jules Bocandé, who was one of the finest in Africa at the time. So Senegal has always been a team to reckon with. Africa has always counted on Senegal, even out of Africa. Remember, at the level of the World Cup, it's only Cameroon and Senegal who were the first to get. After Cameroon, Senegal also got to the quarterfinal stages. And we all remember the goal that was scored by the late, his name just went off my mind, the game against France, where they had a one-goal, Senegal had a one-goal victory. Pape Diop of blessed memory. You know, that's Senegal. Consequently, while watching the game of yesterday, playing against Malawi, I was expecting a lot from Senegal. To whom much is given, much is also expected. I think that the Senegalese team, even before they came, they had their last dinner with the head of state Macky Sall, for which a lot of praises were given to the players, and a lot of expectations was also we are expecting a lot from them. But unfortunately, when you watch the game of yesterday, and not only the game of yesterday, even in their prior games, we've seen a struggling Senegal. Senegal has not been a flamboyant team. Senegal, as it stands, I don't think that if they continue with this attitude, they will definitely cross the 8 finals. I don't think so. They have been struggling in all their games. They have been picking draws, and I'm sure the only game they won, it was a 95th penalty against Zimbabwe, which was questionable. So Senegal has not been that powerhouse we all know in Africa. So I fear a lot for Senegal. It is unacceptable that a nation like Senegal will be coming with a strategy on Sadio Mane. You cannot construct an empire with just an individual. At the time, in the years 2002, when we were talking about El Hadj Diouf, he was not there all alone. We had Kalilu Fadiga, who could do the magic. We had Pape Diop in the midfield. We have Salih Diao at the time he played for Liverpool. We had Omar Daf, who played at the time for Ferdinand Coly. All those guys were best in their clubs, and they were all starters in their different clubs. But unfortunately, the Senegal we see today, you can handpick just some few, and the others are average players. And those other players count on miracle to be done by Sadio Mane. It's rather unfortunate. He can't do the miracle all alone. Reasons why a team like Malawi will be pulling a 0-all tie with Senegal. Senegal struggled with Zimbabwe. And I think that though they had the 3 points on that day, I thought, in my opinion, I could say, I could applaud for Zimbabwe, because the Senegalese had nothing to write home of. And I had, when we had discussions, we heard Senegalese talking about the temperature of Bafoussam, and I said, come on, Dakar is, when you look at it in terms of temperature, you cannot compare Dakar as well as with Bafoussam. Dakar is closest to the desert relative to Bafoussam, so you cannot be telling me that there's so much heat at Kwekong relative to what we have in
Bafoussam is a very cold town.
Of course. So they were complaining of the temperature. I was expecting teams from the north, Nigeria, Egypt, to complain about the temperature.
Of course, those are the persons who know that the sun is really going to deal with them.
Unfortunately,
we've not heard any complaints.
So, but you know, when people have weaknesses in their game, they always look for auxiliary things to hang on. They don't focus on their game. And I think the Senegal has Diouf and others. You know, Diouf said Cameroon is his second nation, and I think he will probably be regretting by looking at the Senegal team that is playing in the AFCON. Because if you single out Sadio Mane and you look at the team, it's basically empty. And they don't have a collective force. Look at the game they played against Guinea. Guinea dominated the game. We had Naby Keita definitely controlled the entire midfield. There was no Senegalese to even puncture moves of Naby Keita. And Naby Keita mesmerized the entire midfield of Senegal. So at the end of the day, they picked up a draw against Guinea, picked up a draw against Malawi. Now, when you look at Guinea, in terms of the classification, FIFA classification, Guinea is far below. When you look at Malawi, I don't even know, they are probably 120 something in the FIFA World ranking. And those are teams, and look at Zimbabwe, picking a 1-0 victory at the 95th minute through a penalty. To me, Senegal this far, they are extremely below expectation, and if they want to proceed in this tournament, they will definitely have to come out with different strategies in terms of the tactical disposition of the team as well as technical composition of the game, because I think that technically a lot of players in Senegal are flat.
All right, for your contribution and participation, you can send us an SMS or a WhatsApp text on the number you find on your screen. We are going to take a quick break. We will be right back, but during the break, we are going to listen to the AFCON team song. Televiewers, we are going to come back to that. Sorry, that's a little technical error. Before we take that break, we are going to talk about, Mr. Ako mentioned something about the complaints that have been going on, and there's no way we can ignore the rumors that have been going about that the teams that are playing in Douala are complaining about the Japoma Stadium, that the pitch is bad. And Javis, I think Ivory Coast are one of the countries that are not even supposed to lay any complaint. We are talking about an Ivory Coast that Cameroon went to play a game there and the pitch was awful. There were so many complaints. Even I think the Confederation of African Football saw the pitch themselves, and of course it was really, really below standards. But we are talking about 50,000 capacity, a Japoma Stadium, which is a very beautiful and fine stadium. I don't see any reason why there will be 4 or 5 games and the pitch goes bad and they cannot do some adjustments. Do you think there's anything wrong with that? Because the complaints have really been worrying.
Yeah, you know that the truth is, let's be honest, there's a reality that the field has some technical issues on the turf. Keeping aside the capacity, seating capacity is good, but there's a big technicality with the turf. But it's not as worst as...
Yeah, I get it. My worry is there anything wrong if after some games they can come back to work on the pitch?
No, the issue here is, it happens everywhere, even in your job site. When you cannot deliver, you look for people to blame. The ABC syndrome, accuse, blame, and condemn. It plays everywhere. And a similar situation, even Senegal will tell you that it's not only the last time they said the sun, this time they played in the evening, and there was no. They will now come and tell you that maybe the people of Kwekong did not clap well, the drums they were beating, something went wrong, and spiritual, all those things. Now coming now to the field itself, the turf at Japoma. Yes, there are some challenges. We were told that some technical work still need to be done. However, this field is still of standard to meet up with the games. If we look at the field we had when Cameroon went and played the return leg with Ivory Coast, it was horrible. the field was actually horrible in Ivory Coast. I think the field at the Mount Cameroon Sport Complex that we had was even better than the field that we saw in Ivory Coast. Even the former Molikomi Sports Stadium that had no, no green turf in itself, it was even better because ball could roll. Because the one challenge is that people should understand that a field must not have a green turf to be a good field. If the ball can roll effectively from left flank to right flank, like we had, Mr. Veron, you played with Malcolm, you saw how the pitches in Moliko were at the time, but it was still a first division game being played there. But however, what we had in Ivory Coast cannot be compared to the poor quality that they say we have in Japoma. It's top class to the quality that we had in Ivory Coast as far as what we watch is concerned. The only problem, I raised an issue too, that sustainability is the greatest challenge we have in Africa, because we are quick to bring out policies or structures, but the issue is we don't look at sustainability. How can we sustain these structures in the next 5 years? What are the quality of services that were offered at Japoma? Because if you look at the quality, it matters, the quality of the green turf that was put at the field. What were the criteria used in the quality of the green turf? Because if you see a similar situation is played at Kwekon, where we have a field, normally they're supposed to pour water on the field regularly, but they don't. The dry season comes and it affects the pitch. How on earth should a dry season comes and affect a green turf that you have all the necessary resources to create an artificial weather on it? We see how all the other nations in Europe and other play their matches. Their turf are always watered every day, morning and evening, whether they are playing there or they are not playing there. There's no way you will tell us that it's a dry season, so it's affected. That's not an excuse. So state authorities need to now start being focused on sustainability and continuity. Like we have the Japoma now, we also have the Olympi. Now let's go to Olympi and look at what sustainability plan have they put forward to ensure that all the structures are well maintained. Yes, there are stadium directors, but how effective are they in terms of taking care of the stadium? Because if you look at what we had, what we have in Limbe currently, you move around, you still see that there's need for renovation work to go on. Probably maybe from the seating capacity, maybe on the turf, maybe on the restroom, maybe on the vestiaire area. All those kind of things like that has a lot to play. But however, they should not complain about the pitch as compared to what they have with what we saw in Ivory Coast. What we saw in Ivory Coast, it was more of a Munya level of feel. Or honestly, I'll be very honest. More like the Kali School Munya feel. In fact, the Kali School Munya feel as compared to Ivory Coast is better. Kali School Munya feel is better. They should not blame. It's like I say it again, like what the Mani Senegalese were saying. They complain that the weather is too harsh. Look at the temperature in Bafoussam and also the temperature in Dakar. The high humidity is like somebody from Dar es Salaam comes and tell you that Douala is so hot, and you look at Dar es Salaam, where this person comes from Tanzania. Dar es Salaam is hotter than Douala, and the person tells you Douala is so hot, and you ask yourself, are you for real? Now they say, okay, your match will play in the evening. You play the match in the evening, you could not still win. What excuse will you give again? Maybe they will say the Babusan. I think
before 5 p.m. the sun has already gone down, so I don't think there's any excuse.
Keep aside at 5 p.m. What of the match you played in the evening?
About the Japoma pitch, your contributions.
It's a very sad situation that we are doing this in Africa in 2022 at this time of where the world we think we should be advancing. Like I would say, I'll borrow the words of legendary goalkeeper Joseph Antoine Bell, who said, "Les gens doivent arrêter les bêtises." We are exaggerating because it's not only the Senegalese who have complained or the Ivorians who have complained. The Algerians are also complaining. Everybody is complaining for stuff that are not supposed to be complaining.
And those are people who cannot win a match.
Yes, because when we look at the Japoma Stadium, yes, we accept the fact that the Tough has a problem. But the problem of the Tough cannot be compared with what, like Javis said, because when we Cameroon played lastly with the Ivorians in Abidjan, Frenchman says it's Sule Shang de Patat. That field, that I don't know why CAF did not, because if you look at it, after that match, that field has been suspended. And they don't play football there again.
Algeria is to host the next edition of the AFCON. Ivory Coast, I beg your pardon.
So you see, Ivorians now don't even have a field, because you know they play their home matches now in Benin, something like that. They have relocated because that field was scandalous. The field where they played with Cameroon, they won 2-1.
And if they had to play on that field, means that that's one of the best fields they have.
It's a nice field. They have fields. I don't know why they choose to play there, because I know that they have a field in Bouaké. They have two stadiums in Abidjan. They have a field in Bouaké and one in Yamoussoukro. They are supposed to be hosting 2023, which is going to certainly be in 2024. We don't know. But then they keep complaining. We should stop the blame game in Africa. When it's not moving, it's not moving. Like Mr. Enow Ako said, Senegal should stop saying that the problem was the weather. Because we all know that at 10 o'clock in Dakar, maybe it's not the Dakar I know, but the Dakar I know is that 10 o'clock in Bamako, in Dakar, it is so hot. It's like what they call in English canicule. It's so hot. It's so hot to you see, even the North Africans who are complaining. The other day, the Nigerians complain of light. The Nigerians complain of light.
People cannot win a match.
They complain of light. As if they're only the ones playing. We all know what is happening when you are, because Algeria, Senegal, we have overrated them. That's the problem. They were so overrated that when you see a local team like Malawi drawing with Senegal and even threatening to win, like you said, Edouard Mendy made some saves yesterday that if not of Edouard Mendy, even though he made some errors too, they would have considered about 2 goals yesterday, but thanks to him, they did not. You look at the Malawians, all of their players are home-based. They have just 2 players who play with in South Africa. Actually, one plays with Polokwane FC. All of them are home-based players. They play in Malawi. And then they are playing with the almighty Senegalese players, with the Sheku Kouyaté of Crystal Palace, the Sadio Mane of Liverpool, and so forth and so on. They are with the Bouna Sarrs of Bayern Munchen. So you realize that it is a complicated tournament for some of these teams. And at the end of the day, to me, they would have stayed quiet than to give flimsy excuses, because they're tough in Vola, like Mr. Njoke said, because they were even complaining. They wrote petition that all the matches that were supposed to, the quarterfinals, the 8 finals, quarterfinals, I mean semi-final matches that are supposed to be played in Japuma should be relocated. From yesterday, I think CAF was carrying out the study to see if they could do that. But the stadium manager of Japuma, Mr. Njoke, he said, je sais qu'il y a des problèmes, le tapis a des problèmes, mais nous avons travaillé, nous avons amené même des experts. So they brought in experts to solve that problem. And he gave the reasons why that stuff is like that. It's the dry season. Because that stadium, the first grass that was planted they removed it and planted another one just few time to the tournament. That is why that stuff is like that. And they have worked to see that it goes well. So everything will be fine. They are going to play there.
All right. Tomorrow, Ivory Coast at 5 p.m. Ivory Coast is going to take on Algeria, Sierra Leone, Equatorial Guinea at 5 p.m. At 8 p.m., Gabon versus Tunisia over there in Limbe, and Mali, Mauritania. And it's already almost 8 p.m. Just a few minutes to 8 p.m. We are going to have the game between Egypt versus Sudan and Guinea-Bissau versus Nigeria. It is a wrap on today's edition of the program. Thank you so much, Mr. Enow Ako. Thank you, Javis, and thank you, Mr. Billybob Ndive, for coming here on today's edition of the program to talk sports. The program was produced by Johnson Vola, and I was your host, Macdela Eyong Bison. Catch you on the next edition of the program. Bye-bye.